Welcome back, everybody, to Castle Sports Talk. I got probably one of my most exciting videos for you guys today, and it is my dream mock draft for the Los Angeles Chargers. And I'm so excited to talk about this one. I know you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen my rundown of players, and I'm just here to talk about it a little bit. Two things to get out the way. I'm tired of paying people for my thumbnails and editing, so I tried experimenting myself. It didn't come out perfect. I apologize for that. And another thing is my hair. There's not really much explanation for that because the explanation would take about 20 minutes, but I'm doing something. All right, just know I'm doing something. Without further ado, I'm just gonna get started and start sharing my screen and breaking down why I have the dream mock draft for the Chargers. I have it. I figured it out. I broke the code after so many mock drafts. I finally figured it out. I've done probably 500 mock drafts for the Chargers, and I figured it out. What's the dream mock draft? And here we go. So I'm just going to present. And here is my thumbnail. We have pick 1, Mykel Williams. Going to pick 2, Darius Alexander. Onto Emory Jones. And you see the first 3 picks are to what? The trenches. The trenches, man. Let's get trenchy. Pick number 4, Damian Martinez, running back. 5, Mitchell Evans, tight end. 6 will be Caleb Ransaw, cornerback or defensive back. I say defensive back because he could turn to safety as much as a big hitter he is. Pick number, 7, Jeffrey Bosa, linebacker out of Oregon. Pick number 8 is probably a really fun one to a lot of you guys, Trevor Etienne, running back out of Georgia in the 6th round. And then on to our 7th round picks. Pick number 9, Donovan Edwards, running back out of Michigan. And the last pick, number 10, Jason Marshall Jr., defensive back / cornerback out of Florida. Let's talk about Mykel Williams, 6'5", 265, 33.5-inch arm length. This dude has an amazing size profile. All right. I'll just go through the bullet points just to stay organized, keep my brain organized, and not go off the rails here. Edge is a critical position in our scheme, which is why we had 4 of them last year. All right, we had Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu, Bud Dupree. Joey Bosa's gone. We got to replace Joey Bosa. We got to replace him because edge is such an important position on our team, kind of like tackle. So we just got to have really good ones. And going first round, Mykel Williams is really good. Here I go say could very well fall if teams prioritize defensive end with more pass rush juice because he's not the best pass rusher in the class. All right. Hold your horses if you think he's going to be getting 15, 20 sacks a year. He's not a special. He doesn't specialize in pass rushing. What he does specialize in is defending the run game, setting the edge, wrapping running backs up in the backfield, which is why I call him the baby Mac, the baby Khalil Mack. In other words, our Khalil Mack replacement, because what Khalil Mack does the best, in my opinion, at this point in his career, is setting the edge, defending against the run. So when Khalil Mack either retires or moves on next year, we have our run defending guru on the team to seamlessly replace him. He could also be a Morgan Fox replacement. Morgan Fox usually plays a 3 or 4 tech, meaning he's not necessarily on the edge, but he's next to the edge, kind of like in between the tackle and the guard. And Morgan Fox brought some pass rush juice, and Mykel Williams could potentially also replace Morgan Fox. He could. He's a versatile. He could be a versatile player in the NFL. Morgan Fox is 275 pounds, right? Mykel Williams is 265. I think Mykel Williams is big enough to play 3 tech. Like I said, best run defending edge in the class. That's what he's a beast at. Here we go. I talk about versatility. Can play the 5 tech, standing up edge rusher, even 5 tech with your hands in the ground. He can play 4 tech, which I think will be his best position. Hands in the dirt, either directly in front of the tackle or 3-tech in between the tackle and the guard, which is what Morgan Fox played. Very versatile. Whereas other rushers are maybe on the smaller end, can't play that 3-tech, where other rushers, other edge rushers are probably more only pass rushing players, where Michael Williams is a 3-down player. He's a 3-down player, and I have full confidence that this guy can develop into a 10, 15 sack guy at some point in his career. But man, are we getting a good run defender? Man, are we getting a big dude on the edge position? And we keep supplementing that edge position that is so critical to our scheme. On to pick number 2, we have Darius Alexander, back to the trenches, defensive tackle. This dude is 6'4", 305 pounds, 34-inch arm length. If Michael Williams won't be a good 3-tech for our team or isn't ready, I know Darius Alexander can be that 3-tech. He could also play in between the center and the guard. And shoot, if we need him to, we could develop him as a nose tackle. I really like this guy. He could possibly get picked early second round, but I have him here kind of a little fall, depending how the NFL looks at him. You never know with the draft. A lot of people have him early second, but he could fall because we have such a deep defensive tackle class. So I have him falling here. I talk about how defensive tackle is arguably the Chargers' most needed position. A lot of people won't argue with that. Defensive tackle in round 2 will be wise because of financially and strategic wise. And what I mean by that is that we have a deep defensive tackle class this year. Better to use your first round pick on a position that's maybe a little bit more dry on day 2, and get a round 1 caliber player in day 2 instead. You know what I mean? Like if you go defensive tackle round 1, you get Derek Harmon or something like that, but there's no edges in round 2 that can give you what Darius Alexander is giving you in round 2, if that makes sense. And by financially is that, I guess forget what I said financially, because defensive tackles are getting paid now, almost on the same tier as edge rushers. So forget I said financially, just strategic wise, manipulating the draft and getting the most out of it. It makes sense that we go DT round 2, because any other year, DT round 2 this year will probably be first round any other year. But like I said, defensive tackle is so deep. He's 24 years old, which makes him an older rookie, and kind of gives you questions about his senior year success, because it's like, oh, he's just a lot older than everyone else. But because he's 24 years old, did so good his senior year, I think he can come in and contribute year 1 in a defensive tackle rotation consistent of Darius Hart, Tyus Jones, I think his name is, and Deshaun Hand. Add Darius Alexander in there. You got Aboigbe and Ogbonya competing for that 5th defensive tackle spot, and wow, we really supplemented our defensive line with Michael Williams and Darius Alexander with the first 2 picks. And I think that is just a home run. Darius Alexander is a good player. I hope he falls to us. And even if he doesn't, I think another day 2 DT will make sense depending on who's on the board. Yeah, DT round 2, I think this makes sense. Pick number 3, we still go with the trenches, but on the offensive side. Here we got Emory Jones, 6'5", 315, 34 and 1/4 inch arm length. This dude is a beast. He was offensive tackle in college, but he could transition to guard in the NFL. I'm gonna just go through the bullet points. Either offensive line or wide receiver for round 3 makes sense. And offensive line to me just makes more sense because Harbaugh believes so strongly in the trenches. He came here to do one thing: give us the best offensive line in the league. If nothing else, it's to give us the best offensive line in the league. And you can't do that without supplementing the offensive line every year through the draft. Here we get Emory Jones, kind of a little bit of a fall. Could go late second, could go early third, but I have him falling here. And if you want to go wide receiver third round, don't forget we're gonna sign Keenan Allen. I'm 90% sure we're signing Keenan Allen. All right, help is on the way. Do not worry. Keenan Allen is coming back to town, and Emory Jones in the third round as kind of like our swing tackle guard. He doesn't need too much development. I think if he goes to a needy team on offensive line, he could start day one. But at guard, maybe not tackle. Maybe he needs some time to get ready at tackle. But at guard, I think he's a day one starter. And have him, Pipkins, Zion Johnson battle it out. And I think the best will emerge from there. Doesn't matter if it's Jones, Zion Johnson, or Pipkins. The best will emerge. And by year two, Emory Jones will be ready to start. Left guard. He will be ready to start. He also makes for a very, very valuable swing tackle, right? Because Joe Alt struggled with a little bit of injuries late in the year last year. Rashawn Slater, we know his injury history. He's not clean when it comes to his injury history. And Mekhi Becton is probably the most alarming when it comes to injury history. So we potentially have a injury-prone tackle situation. You throw Emory Jones in there and protect from that as kind of like our backup swing tackle behind Becton. I really, really, really feel comfortable with that and stabilizing our offensive line. Harbaugh covers the versatility at the offensive line. Emory Jones can play guard and tackle. Versatile. Harbaugh loves big offensive linemen. We've seen Becton 6'7", 340 pounds. This guy isn't 6'7", 340, but 6'5", 315 at the guard position is nothing to scoff at. 34 and 1/4 inch arm length. This dude has the arm length. This dude's just a massive human being that will make our trenches trenchier. And by moving to guard, I think it will hide his biggest flaws. I think one of his biggest flaws is he's quick, but not quick enough. His technique needs a little bit of work. But I think at guard, it really erases that because his quickness isn't as much needed. He can focus on not necessarily less, but kind of simplifying his game. I don't want to say like you focus on less as a guard, but it is more of kind of, I would say, a simple position. Meaning like where you could just really make a living on being good at one thing at guard. Where at tackle, I think you need to be good at multiple things, if that makes sense. So Emory Jones, first 3 picks to the trenches. Man, that's a real possibility, man. That's a real possibility. Don't sleep on Jim Trenchy Harbaugh. All right, here we go to pick number 4. Finally, we get some playmakers in the building, even though Harbaugh calls his offensive linemen weapons for the quarterback. Here we go with more of a traditional quote-unquote weapon at the running back position. Damian Martinez, one of my favorite running backs in the class, point blank period. Not because this dude is Spanish with a Spanish name, because obviously I'm Spanish, but because this dude is such a good running back. I think he could fall to the 4th round because he's not the most athletic, because he's not the best pass catcher. But man, can this dude run the rock, man. He could run in between the tackles, could give you an outside, he could be an outside zone scheme runner and can plunge right through the middle and really push forward for a good 4 or 5 yards. He's a bruiser, but being a bruiser, he still has some speed and quickness to him. I'll go through some of the bullet points. Our running back is arguably our most needed position. Najee Harris is on a 1-year deal. Behind him, all we have is Kamani Vidal, right? And I say most needed because we're a run-first team. And all we have is Najee. Let's get Damian Martinez in there because that is a very needed position in our offense. Let's get a guy in there like Damian Martinez, who I know will be a good NFL running back. Because of the deep class, a 4th-round running back might be a 2nd or 3rd round player another year on a class that might be more deprived of running back. You could see a team reaching for Martinez in the 3rd or 2nd round, but because running back is so deep this year, I could see him going to 4th round. And picking him up in the 4th round and getting a 3rd, 2nd round caliber running back is just the way to play the draft. You got to manipulate the draft, man. You got to manipulate it. And by picking a running back 4th round, I think it manipulates the draft to our advantage. Greg Roman doesn't value pass catching running backs, so that's why I don't think it makes sense to go Trevion early. I don't think it makes sense to go pass catch and running back as our very next pick. I think it makes sense to go with a guy that's good in between the tackles, can be a bruiser, and has the speed to break away into the third level. Even though he doesn't have quite the top end speed to really break a 70, 80 yarder, I do think he has speed to break into the third level as long as we're giving this guy holes. Pause. Najee Harris will be the primary pass catcher. His rookie year, he had like 74 catches. And other than that, he's been consistently at 50. So Najee Harris is our primary pass catcher, even though he's a bruiser too. Then again, we don't value pass catching running back. So Najee Harris is pretty much all we need there, right? Maybe let me not do spoilers for the end, even though you know who I drafted in the sixth round. But Damian Martinez, man, let's get this in between the tackle runner. Let's not prioritize getting Trevion Henderson, who's best as a pass catcher running back. We don't need that. Our offense, we don't have that kind of scheme. Okay. And I just see no weaknesses in Damian Martinez's game. No weaknesses except for not being the greatest pass catcher. But even then, that's not a weakness. He could catch passes. You know, he won't be able to catch 50, 60 passes a year, but I can see him catching 20, 30 passes a year and making the most of his opportunities. I really, really like this kid. And if he falls to the fourth round, that would be lovely. Honestly, he might go third round, honestly. But this is my dream mock draft, right? It was all a dream. Fifth round, we have Mitchell Evans. Let me say this. Colston Loveland round 1, I don't think is the way to go. I don't think it's the way to go. Financially, it's not the right move. And roster-wise is not the right move. Don't forget, historically, maybe not recently, but historically, tight ends take 2 to 3 years to really start contributing to a team. If we get Colston Loveland year 1, I wouldn't fully expect him to drop a 60, 70, 80 catch season. Historically, tight ends take a while to adjust. So it doesn't make sense financially where tight end isn't that expensive a position to get a tight end round 1. You're already starting to pay him as the top in the league. I don't think it makes sense depth chart wise. We have Tyler Conklin, Will Dissly. We could get a veteran. I hope we get a big time veteran like Mark Andrews or Dallas Goedert, but we still have, a bunch of people out there that we could get as veterans to come in. With that said, we were drafting Mitchell Evans here in the 5th round as a developmental tight end. Projects as a really solid backup in the NFL. I think that's kind of his floor, a really solid backup, and I think he has the ceiling to be a starter, which drafting the 5th round started tight end, I think is a home run. I do think he will develop in our team because Herbert can get the best out of him. And I do think I like Mitchell Evans a lot. And I do think he can become a starter hopefully his rookie year, he's a starter by year 2, but 2 to 3 years down the line, I do think he will develop into a starter. And then we could probably sign him to his second contract and keep him on the team for the long haul. You know what I mean? But if we're thinking about right now, we need a serviceable long-term tight end on here. I go with the long-term term again. But even if you're looking at right now, what are we missing? We have 3 tight ends on 1-year deals. We need a long-term tight end. So even immediately, even if this guy won't produce year 1, it just makes sense to have a long-term tight end on the team right now. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm dropping, but yeah. Next pick is Caleb Ransaw, 5'11", 200 pounds, 31-inch arms. This dude is a tackler. This dude is a big hitter. That's what he's known for. You see the size, 200 pounds, 5'11". And if you watch his film, that's the thing that stands out to you the most. If we moved on from Asante because he can't tackle. He didn't play a lot last year because he can't tackle. I can see us getting a DB this year, known for his tackling, just to complement a guy like Stylen Hart. We get a tackling machine in there. He could transition to safety and could be our long-term backup at safety. Maybe even start over Elijah Molden 2 to 3 years down the line. I could absolutely see that. He has the speed. This dude is fast. 4.33 speed. We'll draft him, and he'll probably be the fastest player on our team immediately. Fastest player on our team. All his questions are with covering one-on-one, but there's no questions about his defensive mentality when it comes to defending the run. There's no questions about his tackling technique. There's no question about his strength. You know, this dude will make a name for himself. Will hang his hat on his stopping the run game as a DB, and I think that's what Harbaugh covets. That's what he wants. Being the fast player and great tackler that he is, I could absolutely see him making his mark on the special teams, and I would really like this pick. Let me wrap this up with Jeffrey Bosa. Not too much to say here, but with 10 picks in the draft, getting the late linebacker to our group makes perfect sense. I like him because he projects as a run defending kind of linebacker more than anything else, and I think that fits our team because Denzel Perriman is signed to 1 year. He's our run defending guru at linebacker, but he's only there for 1 year. I think getting this guy and potentially having him be our Denzel Perriman next year or in year 3, I think would be really nice for a 6th-round pick. And if he does become a solid run defending backup in the NFL, it's successful. You know, a run defending starter would be a home run. And I absolutely do think he will be a good run defending backup. And if we develop him good, you know what I mean, have a good defense around him, he could be a starter. Good measurables, played against great competition. That's always a plus. And we just need to start looking for replacements for Nick Niemann. Nick Niemann left and signed a big contract as a special teamer. He was our special teaming guru. We just got to start looking for replacements for him immediately so our special teams it doesn't lose a beat. And Jeffrey Bosa is a good potential guy to replace Nick Niemann. And if we draft him, I hope he does well. I think he will do well, and I think he's a good pick as a part of our dream draft. Here we go. Getting fun with it. Trevor Etienne, 5'9", 200 pounds, 4.42, 40-yard dash. Would immediately come in as our fastest and quickest running back. Add that juice that we need at running back that Najee and Damian Martinez don't have. He will come in as our best pass-catching threat out of the backfield, and that's just fun. That's just fun, and I think our running back room kind of lacks a little bit of fun. Our offense doesn't prioritize pass-catching running backs, like I said before, but it doesn't mean you never have one on your roster, right? We need a pass-catching back like this because we just don't have any. And you don't need one, but yeah, you kind of do need one, at least one on your team, just to say you have one, just to throw them out there and be able to do things that you can't without a pass-catching running back. All that just to say that we need a pass-catching running back. Blah. He could develop as a running back in between the tackles while we give him opportunities in open space his rookie and sophomore year. And, you know, throw him out there in screen passes, throw him out there in pitches, throw him out there on stretches, and have him, you know, go out there in open space while he develops as an in between the tackle runner that is such a scheme fit in our system. Yeah, pass catching running backs aren't scheme fits, but he could develop, you know, as a between the tackles runner. And I just think it would be financially unwise to take a running back early in such a deep running back class. Like taking a running back round 1 or 2 doesn't make sense when you could get so many good running backs in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. So I think it would be financially unwise to take a running back early. You just draft Martinez in the 4th, Etienne in the 6th, and you draft another next year and use Najee's $6 million per year on a more critical position. Move forward, Donovan Edwards, Michigan player that Harbaugh is familiar with. We got a Michigan guy in here and would love to have him compete, and Harbaugh would love to have him competing in training camp. He underwhelmed last 2 years, but was really good in 2022. There's a small chance he recaptures that and is actually producing for our team in the future. Maybe even rookie year, who knows? Because rookie year running backs do really good in the NFL. He's a high character competitor who will push Vidal, Etienne, and Martinez to be their best. They're going to be, hold up, they drafted the 7th round kid Donovan Edwards, and he ain't come to play. He ain't come to make friends. You feel me? He came to make the team, and they could push Vidal, Etienne, and Martinez to be their best. And just running back is such an important position on our team because we're a run-first offense. 3 late running backs with our 10 picks could immediately prove to be worth it because we just our run-first team, and we just could use that influx of running backs, and it could pay dividends early on. And then the last pick is a special teams pick. Jason Marshall, 6 feet, 195, 30 and 1/4 inch arm length. He plays outside. He has the size to play outside. He just really lacks anticipation, really lacks tackling, and he's not good on a route squeeze. He's not that athletic. So there's a lot that he could work on, but if he works on his anticipation and tackling, he could play into the rotation in second or third year. He's just not super fast, so he really just needs to work on his cornerback IQ and really needs to work on his technique for him to play into the rotation, but it's possible if he just develops that. He has good measurables, 6 feet, 195, who played against great competition. You never know. This dude could, like Cam Hart and Tar Heel Still, this dude could come out and be a competitor for us and a producer for us because he has the measurables, played against great competition. You never know. But you draft him for special teams. Cornerback is a good special teams position. They're the ones that, are flying down the field on punts and kickoff returns, trying to tackle that kick returner, punt returner. So you get them in there to compete day one on special teams. And you're going to have this guy, even though he's a special teams guy, you will have him compete on cornerback reps with Dean Leonard, Jasir Taylor, and Benjamin St-Juste. You throw Marshall in there, and the best of those guys will earn a spot on the team. And you love a good composition in training camp. And the best of those 4 will deserve a spot on the team because they're not just given the job. And that is my dream mock draft. I'll go through it again. Micah Williams, Darius Alexander, Emory Jones, real trenchy. Damian Martinez to supplement that running back group and give Najee Harris that duo. Mitchell Evans to get a long-term tight end in there that will develop, that I hope develops. Caleb Ransaw, tackling, a great tackler, defensive back. Jeffrey Bosa, Nick Neiman replacement. Trevor Etienne, Donovan Edwards, some real running back juice right there. And Jason Marshall, another special teams player. And let me just stop sharing. And that is it, man. If you don't think my draft is really that dreamy, you can let me know in the comments. If you agree with some of my picks, let me know in the comments. Anything you're thinking, maybe picks I messed up, picks that I nailed, let me know in the comments. With that said, I'm on my way to eat hibachi. I'm running a little bit late, trying to give y'all this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And this is one part of a whole series of different kind of Chargers mock drafts that I'll be dropping in the next week. And I'll see you guys then. Peace out. Thank you guys for watching.